there's a lot of stories about layoffs and tough times getting jobs in media, but there is people that are getting jobs just out of college/university. Meet James. He's on Agree or Disagree, the podcast.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm feeling pretty good today.
Good. We usually have music, but we're recording in a studio, which is like...
Oh, you should have told me. I could have gotten something together. I could have made some preparations.
I know. I should have done that. Oh, well. We're still, Is
that kind of what it sounded like?
It's like...
Really nothing like that at all.
Do like that.
Okay.
It's pretty close.
Do you want me to do that while you talk?
Yeah, I'll try it maybe.
Okay.
Oh. So James was a graduate of the Vancouver Institute of Media Arts radio, television, broadcast, and media program with myself back in 2015-16. Is that right?
Yeah.
We're both right. I'm trying to remember when that was. It feels like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we started like September 2015.
September 2015.
Yeah.
We did some stuff together. We actually, funny enough, we're sitting in the Roundhouse. Can we say Roundhouse Radio? We're going to say Roundhouse Radio a number of times. 98.3, our city, your voice here in Vancouver. That's a shameless plug.
Thanks, Kev.
No problem. Hire me. No.
If I could.
Fair enough. But it was funny enough. We actually went here shortly into our tenure. Actually, I remember there was a there
was some kind of a launch here. Yeah. It was
Where There's Smoke launched.
And Luke came.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Where There's Smoke launched a podcast here. Marty, our former instructor, was hosting the night, and Brett Gaida from the host Where There's Smoke was there. And I think they were doing like some sort of weekly thing on Roundhouse Radio. I'm not sure if that happens anymore.
Yeah. I think they moved to Sundays now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. They're doing some good stuff.
Just as like a standalone sort of show.
Yeah. Then James shortly got on here and is producing a number of different shows. The Midday Show with Jody Vance.
The Morning Show with Gene Valatis.
And what else? What else are you doing here?
Well, actually, it's funny that you say that because I've actually taken a lot of things off my plate since moving to the morning show. I mean, I'm up at like before 4 a.m. now, which is a little different. And then, so I'm quote unquote on the air for like 7 hours a day. So, and I have like an hour of prep time when I get here at 5. So,
wow.
So I pretty much just spread my time between those two shows. And then every once in a while, I'll help out with Live from Railtown as well.
Okay. Yeah. So 3 shows?
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you feeling like that's a lot?
Maybe 2.5 now.
2.5.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it like overwhelming? Do you jump in, or did you jump in with both feet?
Well, I certainly jumped in with both feet. And when I started with Roundhouse, like I started with the street team.
Yeah.
And that was before we were even graduated. That was that summer. I think they called me back for an interview like the beginning of May.
Right.
Of 2016, I think. And then I basically ran out the summer with them on the street team. And then, September came around and they told me that there was a opportunity for an internship as a board operator. And they thought I'd be a good fit for it. So I was like, well, I'll check it out. So I came in for the internship and I was double dipping. Even then, I was doing street team on the weekends and then board operating during the days, on the weekdays, Monday to Friday. And then that was actually I had my job at Indigo at that time too.
Yes, because
I was working nights, till like 2 a.m. stocking shelves at a bookstore, and then coming in here for like 11 o'clock or whatever in the morning. I think I worked here till I think my shift was like till about 7 o'clock. So I pretty much had time to like go home, grab a quick bite, and then bus over to the bookstore to go do my shift there, and then come back home, sleep, get up, lather, rinse, repeat,
Yeah.
So yeah, I just kind of like really pushed myself to, I don't know if I would say succeed, but to make an appearance, and just to show up every day.
Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Oh, yeah. So then I caught Don Schaefer, the CEO here. We started talking, and as soon as he mentioned, hey, well, we'll have to get you on the payroll, because he just asked me, he's like, so are you getting paid yet, or what's going on? And I was like, no, not yet. And he's like, oh yeah, well, we'll have to do that. And then that very night, I went to Indigo. I said, I can't work here anymore. Yeah, and then I've been doing this ever since.
So you air quoted success. So what leads me to a question here. What in your definition in this industry would be success? Or in your mind is success?
That's a great question. Especially with broadcasting and kind of what it is today. To be a successful broadcaster. I don't know. I mean, I like the like cliche thing is like to do what you love, and all that, and so that would imply that I'm not doing what I love right now, which isn't the case. I'm just learning different skills, and honing those skills right now. So I'm still very much in a building phase, where I've actually taken steps to revisit my podcast.
Oh yeah, you were doing the Imagination podcast.
Yeah, Imagination Show. So I'm taking steps to revisit that and see what I can do with that. So I don't know. I guess like if I can get that up and running on a regular basis again, then I think I'll consider that a minor success, a small victory. But yeah, I don't know.
So this question may sound like a criticism, but it's not a criticism of anything. I think it's a reality that I'm learning. What did school, and this would probably go for anyone that has transitioned from any institution to this real world, what did it teach you, and what do you feel that you missed? And I'll ask that in a general sense, because I'm not picking on our school necessarily, because I feel like there are things that,
I mean, I can speak a lot better to where we went in our experience.
Yeah.
But what did I learn? Mic etiquette was a big thing. Oh man, I don't know. There's so many things just running through my head right now. And I kind of feel like adding these things to the list now implies that I didn't think about them before, but we'll see what happens anyway. So like just the role of integrity in journalism, I guess, was a big thing.
That was Scott a lot.
Yeah, Scott and Martin and
Dave.
Well, all of them really.
Yeah.
I mean, Dave and Kyan to some extent. He wasn't like a journalism guy, but he's our audio engineer, and he had a great attitude regardless, right? What I would have liked to learn more of is the actual legislation around radio broadcast and broadcast in general. Because I maybe I didn't get enough of a grasp on, because I don't think we really covered CanCon or the Maple system.
Nope.
Or CRTC regulations, or what the CBSC is, or that kind of thing. And I started learning all these things as I got into the workforce, and realizing that I didn't know what all this stuff was. So I had to do some independent research and bone up on some of that stuff.
Yeah, I had that issue too. I just like, because they were like, you know about CanCon, right? And I stared at them and for a long time, and they're like, Canadian, yeah,
Yeah.
that thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the old mandatory play. You
Yeah.
got to have Canadian artists.
Yeah, right. What are some of the things you've learned since?
Countless things. I've really learned to roll with the punches. Radio is this fun thing where, like, when you're in there and, like, Don loves to use this term, when you're flying the radio station, things can happen in the blink of an eye, and you have to adapt because it's very important to disseminate information properly and effectively, and to corroborate that information, So there's been a few times where we've like, okay, we're in the middle of one thing. Okay, we have to drop whatever we had planned next because now this has taken place, so we need to cover this.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. I probably should have prepared more for this. So I didn't learn a lot of preparation. Let's just say that. Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of blanking on this. Maybe I'll have other things sort of like pop up as we talk. So
yeah. I mean, the fly in the seat of the pants thing is like, we learned that in school. I mean, I remember having a switch midway through, like it was 10 minutes before I was going with the news, and then Marty goes,
"There's been an attack in Paris."
Yeah, and I'm like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
And the earthquake in Japan at that time.
Oh, that's right too. Yeah, it was a double whammy.
Yeah, I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah. Yeah. So like, just getting to like learn and. I guess because we ran more of a music-focused station, I'm seeing the back end of like the production of a radio show, and being that we're more of a talk station, sort of like how you go about contacting people and researching subjects so that you have the best idea possible of who you should be talking to on any given topic, and then how you go about contacting them and setting up the appointment and all that.
The research on, okay, if we're going to talk about whatever, bring in who would be,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who's the best authority that we have at our disposal or within arm's reach to give a educated description, or however you want to say it.
Yeah, and an educated opinion about who's coming on. What are the things that you feel you still would like to learn?
What would I like to learn? I'm having a hard time with that one. I guess like since I'm working so much closer with the hosts and everything, and like they invite me on the air, I guess just kind of like getting inside the head of a talk show host and seeing what they like. How do you prepare for this show? Like, say you have like Gene's show is 4 hours, so how do you prep for that 4 hours? And Jack, his producer, they work very closely together, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just kind of like, I guess more like behavioral things and like how you carry yourself over the air, and kind of what you say and how what you say can have effects. Like, I mean, free advertising, just like there was a day I was going to say something, and then I realized like, oh yeah, like why give that person free advertising.
What do you mean by that?
Like in this sort of industry, like our salespeople bring in the money,
Right.
so that they, so that the station can pay us, as well as, everything else that needs to be paid for. So if I'm walking around, totally with my head in the clouds, like just naming, so-and-so has a really cool deal on or whatever, then like, what incentive does that person have to buy airtime with us?
Right.
If I'm already blabbing about what they're doing.
Right.
So
the relationship with the advertisers is another thing to...
Yeah. I mean, sales, like the whole sales department is something that I had never really given thought to before.
Yeah. Neither have I.
Yeah. So it's
like...
somebody's got to pay the bills, right?
So, money does not grow on trees.
Yeah, yeah. And just because we're broadcasting, that, like the broadcast itself doesn't bring in any money.
Yeah.
It's the advertisements.
Yeah.
Now, how did we get those advertisements?
Yeah.
So
the sales team.
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the questions that I think ponders through my head as I do stuff more and more, and it's crossing this, there's a line of like being opinionated, having an opinion, and not being a douche about it. How do you, what are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you, because, opinions is what brings in the advertisers, which brings in the listeners, which...
Not necessarily.
Well, that's what...
Good content
yeah.
brings listeners, regardless of whether there's an opinion there or not. I think as an interviewer, you need to be as objective as possible.
Yeah.
I was watching an interview Larry King gave a while ago, where he said specifically, like, throughout my entire career, I have never announced who I voted for because I need to be as objective as possible. And that just made so much sense to me. Like you as the presenter are not there to sway people one way or the other. You're just there to present the facts.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I agree with that too, because I think you need to distance yourself and let the audience be intelligent enough to...
Right. And sort of like spoon feeding people opinions is kind of like, it's really sort of taking your listener base and just assuming that they're all stupid.
Yeah.
And I think people kind of appreciate when you give them the opportunity to use their brains.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. But do you think that there's a line of that you can cross from being a...
Well, yeah, I mean, Gene's a great example of that, of like really trying to stir the pot. I mean, like, for instance, he refers to Trudeau as Prime Minister Bowflex and, that kind of thing, it's all in fun. So I don't know. I mean, there's a way of doing it. And there's actually been a few times where I've told him to kind of like maybe ease off a little bit. So yeah, I mean, like there's definitely a balance that needs to be struck. But you can ruffle feathers without necessarily leaning one way or the other.
That's a skill though. It's a skill that I think you have to develop.
You need to work on it.
Yeah. Jody is really good at that. Jody Vance. When I listen, she's like, she's mastered that. I have no idea what her opinion is.
She's made it her mission. To do that and to be that. Like that's how she professes. That's how she talks about the show or like the show that she has here now on Roundhouse is, and Jumi and Abir are both great producers. And so what they do basically is like, okay, there's this huge topic that everybody's talking about. So let's, and people have different opinions about it. So let's bring in some people, not necessarily at the same time, because that can get there can be some animosity there. But if you bring in one and then bring in the other, and you're presenting either side, right? And you're not skewed directly to just left or just right. You're kind of like, okay, I mean, this is what either side is saying. Make your own choice.
Are there guests, though, that you would not put on the radio?
Skinheads?
Fair enough.
I think that's about it. I mean, I would never give a racist a platform.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, everybody has a right to discourse.
Yeah, everyone has a right to be heard, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, I think, because I mean, for me, I like to present and give everybody that same voice, but some get frustrated by that because there's like, when one person expresses their opinion, it's a lot stronger than, or more visceral than others, and are like, how do you control that? And I can't control how people talk. You just, but it's,
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And trying to control how somebody is speaking is only going to negatively impact what you're doing. Because they're not going to feel free to really express themselves. And then, so you're kind of robbing yourself and your listeners and the person themselves, because they don't feel like they can come and tell their story exactly how they want to say it. Now, obviously, I mean, you can't swear on the radio, but
you can swear on this podcast.
Well, French language, you can say the F word if you like.
Oh.
That was only recently passed. I don't know if you caught that.
I did not.
Story. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, French language, you can drop the F-bomb.
I got to learn French.
Good on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can read French, but I can't speak it.
Well, you're already closer than I am.
Yeah. Well, there we go. How is social media playing into Radio Land? I mean, the jobs I'm seeing, everyone's like, we're looking for an expert in social media. I don't know if people know what that means because there's no experts in social media.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think. I mean, there's people that have a better idea of what they're doing than other people. Sure, but that's the same in any field everywhere. Yeah, I like radio being like a strictly auditory medium. I guess it kind of like it puts you in this box. So social media kind of gives you the opportunity to sort of stretch out of that even just a little bit. Like you can make a little Vine or whatever. I guess Vine doesn't exist anymore, but showing my age. Yeah, 27.
I might show my age, but I kind of remember Vine, but
it was like the 6-second videos.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
And
I tried doing those once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I cannot do anything in 6 seconds.
But yeah, if you take like a little Instagram thing or, and just, so you've got all these channels to supply your fan base with other types of medium of media. So it's, in terms of radio, I would say it's a supplementary thing, where it kind of allows your listeners to get to know your host a little bit better, get to know you a little bit better, the brand, so on and so forth. So we try to do as much Instagram as possible, a lot of Facebook stuff. We had a camera that was working for a while. I don't know how it's doing nowadays, where we would do live streams right in the studio.
Right.
That was a lot of fun. We don't do that as much anymore, just until we get that camera figured out. But,
right.
Yeah. So.
It's got to look good to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely quality over quantity for sure. Yeah.
What about the podcast industry, or what a lot of radio stations are calling podcasts? I'm just calling replay of their content before.
Right. I would say that's a misnomer. But that is my opinion. Yeah, I guess there's like 2 tiers of like podcasting for a radio station, where it's sort of rebroadcasting the day-to-day content, and then sort of as well having this like special feature sort of thing, like with Roundhouse, like we'll put everything online. That's, Roundhouse, like a Roundhouse exclusive thing. Because we do host a few NPR shows, and there's a couple shows Terry David Mulligan has.
Over heels from Tears for
Hello.
Fears
Hello.
That's Janice and Corey.
Hey, Janice.
He's hitting buttons over here. Okay, well, what was I doing here? 2 tiers.
2 tiers, NPR.
NPR, yes. We have a couple shows from NPR. There's stuff that Terry David Mulligan does with us. He also sends to some other stations around the country. So we don't like put any of that stuff on our website. But so when it comes to, say, the morning show, you know, if somebody's driving in on their commute, say they're coming in from like 7 to 8 o'clock or whatever, and they catch what we're doing on the air in that hour. But the show's a 4-hour show. So there's 3 hours there of content that they're missing out on. So they can revisit and go back and listen to, you know, what they might have missed. Or if they really liked something and they're like, oh, hey, you know who should hear this? You know, Susie down the block or whatever. Okay, I'll grab the link and I'll send it to her and be like, hey, you know, check this out. And so that's kind of fun. And then so we also have this like feature style shows that we do on the weekend. For instance, like the two that come to mind are Sense of Place and Impact. Now, Sense of Place is more of it's all about like intersectionality, you know, race, feminism, you know, providing a place for people that don't typically get their voice heard, giving them a platform to tell their story. And then Impact is, it's not just a clever name. It's about, you know, humanity's impact on like the earth and our ecosystem and, you know, our direct local environment. So they will talk about, you know, what's happening in Vancouver. They'll talk about what's happening in Syria. They'll talk about what's happening, you know, in the ocean, you know, like in the Great Barrier Reef or whatever, you know. So, and so, yeah, so those are sort of like long form type stuff, whereas like the day-to-day is like quick hits, so like 8 to 10 minutes long. Yeah, it's just two different sides of the same coin, I guess.
Right. And the power of talk radio and podcasts, well, in my opinion, anyway, about the power of podcasts and talk radio, I think is I think people want to delve into something a little bit deeper and dig into what's
ideally that would be what somebody goes to a podcast for. I mean, if you want to, I'm sure they exist, you know, the latest flavor of Doritos review or something like that. Like, it's just kind of fluff stuff that people like to listen to as well. I mean, it's all over YouTube as well. So like, there's obviously an audience for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not what we do.
No, it's not what I do. You know, but
and it's not what you do either. No, it's not this like potato chip radio type thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's the nice thing too, is that you're digging in and people are taking like the stuff you guys do very seriously. Like, was thinking about how you handled the Me Too conversation, who you brought in for that on Jody's show.
Right. And, and that's, I mean, and that conversation's still going on. I mean, the Weinstein effect is still in full effect.
Yeah. We've talked a little bit on that on the podcast as well, but the job market, and I'm not asking this because I need to be hired. I'm asking this that
but one day.
But one day.
It would be nice.
It would be nice to hire me. Just thanks for tripping me up there.
Yeah, you got it.
We had a couple of advices from school that I remembered. Drex talked to us about don't expect anything more than $25,000 a year when he came and talked to us. Something like that. It was not a lot.
I don't even remember. Like, I kind of put money conversations out. I don't even remember that stuff.
Remember. Okay.
Yeah.
But what are some of the things that you have learned getting into the job market here? What is working for people and what isn't?
Networks, for sure. I mean, the one phrase that I've heard constantly since I've been here is that radio is a bit of an incestuous industry, in that, like, you know, you can work at one radio station and then you go work at another radio station, and everybody, and, you know, maybe 3 or 4 people from at that new station also worked at this last station. So, you know, you're just kind of like trading places.
Right.
On, you know, you're just running over different numbers on the dial. basically. But there's like a lot of the same people are involved. It's a smaller sort of circle, I guess, than people might think.
Right. Yeah. Do you feel like people should be checking the small towns out? Because that was also a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it happened, how I got here in, third largest market in Canada, managed to get a job and at a place where I can still learn the little things, like learning how to set up a remote broadcast, which I've done. I not recently, but when I had my other schedule, because I've recently moved on to the morning show and stuff, so I don't have as much free time. But when I did have some, they brought me into the creative department and had me building commercials, that kind of thing. And so this place is also unique in that it's so small and that, I was able to have all these different experiences that one would probably have at a smaller market station because there's not as many people, right? So you need to be able to step up and have, this multitude of skills that you can bring to the table to, have your station succeed. Right.
You, as someone said to me when I moved out here, diversify because that's your best bet of.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And if I wasn't so adept at sort of picking up new skills, I don't know where I'd be.
What is one of the things that you would say is a great recipe for failure trying to get a job in this industry?
Feeling like you earned it? Like someone owes it to you? I guess, entitlement would be the number one. Like, don't, like, nobody owes you anything.
Work your butt off.
Yeah. I mean, you have to earn it. You know, broadcasting it's about respect and integrity, and you need to earn that and demonstrate that to people before, that's sort of how you get up the ladder is your reputation.
That's a good point. We'll let that sink in.
Yeah, I mean, 2 words, Peter Mansbridge.
Yeah, for sure. And 4 people have to replace Peter Mansbridge.
Exactly,
That's
right?
How,
yeah. Well, I mean, that and the changing media landscape sort of,
that's,
they have to diversify and then do different things with the national now moving forward because of what it used to be.
Right.
And, just trying to take it into the future.
Does the changing media landscape give you any fear?
None whatsoever.
Or does it feel like an opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's every day is a learning experience. But local radio is not going anywhere.
No.
You can have a million different types of streaming services, 200,000 channels on your satellite radio, but you're always going to want to know what's happening around in your town.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not threatened, I guess, in a word, like by this shifting media landscape. It's just, there's all these tools now that didn't used to be there that you can utilize. You can take small parts of one, add it to another thing, and build something out of nothing. Or, what we have here is this radio station. So from our auditory broadcast here, from our transmission, then we can pull things from Periscope and Twitter and, Facebook and Snapchat and, all that stuff.
Right.
And build something out on that, build it bigger. So,
interesting.
Yeah, it's just about tools.
Yeah. Because I always get I don't know if you've gotten it, but I always get, this is a really tough industry, Kevin.
Well, it's competitive.
It is.
It's certainly very competitive.
Yeah. You just need to stay creative and be passionate about it. And I think that's part of it. I think there's a lot more to what we're saying, but I think that's the start, right?
Oh, yeah. And passion speaks volumes.
Yeah.
People see that.
Yeah.
And recognize that.
Is there anything else we need to talk about? We should talk about, tell us a little bit about Roundhouse Radio for those who are not listening in the Vancouver area and want to check out a radio station.
Well, if you're in the Vancouver area, or even if you're not in the Vancouver area.
Because I can't get it in Richmond.
Go to roundhouseradio.com.
Yeah.
Or the Radio Player Canada app.
Yes.
Get it crystal clear on your nice cell phone. Yeah, Roundhouse is primarily a talk radio station. We do play some music. We play 50% Canadian content as opposed to the mandatory 30.
Oh, nice.
So you'll hear a lot more Canadian artists here. And sort of our motto, our thing is our city, your voice. We want to talk about what's happening in Vancouver, whether it be national, local, national, international, try to give it a lens through Vancouver. And if you live here, what does, the Prime Minister just gave a thing on on his new housing affordability and all that. So, okay, great, especially in this city.
Yeah.
So what can we do with that?
Yeah.
And how is the Premier going to respond to that? And then how is the Mayor going to respond to that? So on and so forth.
Right.
So yeah, it's just sort of like identifying this food chain and then talking about the things that happen in it. And, we're all about, we try to get all of our guests to be local people here, and there's a show live from Railtown, I think I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
It's all about local music, or, they get a couple of touring bands in every now and then. But yeah, primarily it's the music scene here in Vancouver.
Yeah, and they play live here, which is unique to any other radio station that I know of. That I bring them in, and
I've never heard 5 days a week live bands playing over the radio.
Yeah, it's great, and I think also what I also appreciated about it. I'm helping you plug Roundhouse Radio.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
But I think I hear, and I've expressed this a couple of times on my own, but it's tough to live here. It's expensive to live here. Nobody's going to argue that argument. We're going to have that argument forever living here. But there's so much going on that's good here that, we don't talk much about. And I appreciate that Roundhouse Radio brings like some of the good things that go on here in the downtown east side that people don't hear a lot of. But you're bringing in the good news part of this and say, you know what, there's people invested in the Vancouver community that are doing some really good things, and let's put a spotlight on them. And
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, great example. So I mentioned Manel earlier. She's got a show on the weekends, but she's for a limited time. December 1st will be the last one, actually, episode number 6 in a special series called This Neighborhood Life, and it's all about basically putting the spotlight on the Hastings Sunrise neighborhood. And so Anne is Manel's producer. She's gone out to small businesses in the area, business owners, people who live in the area, whether they be musicians, artists, community workers, like you name it, people who, are invested in the community, have them come out and tell their story and talk about what's happening in the neighborhood. I've never heard anything like that on any radio ever, it's hugely refreshing.
Yeah.
To get that like hyper local voice.
Right. Supportive voice.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, like they come tell their story and talk about, their trials and tribulations and what they love about it, so you get this like mix of things that are working and things that aren't working, and sort of disseminating that information educates people on how they can sort of move around their city, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It gives a sense of community. It gives...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So check out Roundhouse Radio, Our City, Your Voice, 98.9. Right on...
0.3.
0.3, not 9, 0.3. Thanks, James.
Yep.
Check it out as well online on your radio player app or...
RoundhouseRadio.com or Radio Player Canada. It's an app on the phone you can get. You can honestly tune in. Like, we have listeners in Mexico, Brazil.
Nice.
We're over in Europe. It's pretty great.
Yeah. And then check out the morning shows, Monday to Friday.
Morning show, 6 to 10, and middays with Jody Vance, 10 to 1.
10 to 1.
That's what I work on. Then live from Railtowns from 1 to 2. Janice and Corey which I haven't even mentioned. Those guys are wild and
They
crazy.
are wild. Yes.
They're a ton of fun, honestly. They're on from 2 to 6.
Yes. They are on as we are speaking right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Roundhouse Radio 98.3 Vancouver.
That's Corey.
That's Corey right there. Nice. And can we follow you anywhere or?
No, I kind of shy away from personal social media.
Fair
I
enough.
think once I get this like podcast thing rolling out, as I mentioned, sort of taking steps towards getting it functional and productive again, I think then...
Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to just leave it in...
I don't know. I don't know how much I can talk about it right
Fair.
now. I mean, for people, if you're curious, I guess, like my idea was to have this show that like explores imagination in a multitude of ways, sort of one in a storytelling way, because I mean, where do all stories come from? You imagine them,
Mm-hmm.
or they happen, and then you retell them using your thoughts and memories and all that. And anyway, so it's a very brain centric type of thing. So the first episode and the second episodes are up, and those are more of a proof of concept, I think, than actual like real episodes. But those are available on Bandcamp. If you just type in Imagination Show in the search bar, you can find it. I worked with for the first episode, I worked with a local ska band. One of our instructors, Scott Hastings, is the front man for this ska band called Brethren here in Vancouver. And they gave me a few songs, and I wrote a story to go along with it. And, so I wrote out a whole script, and it took me 3 months to basically put together this radio play using their music, which was a ton of fun. So that's like one part of it that I want to do. And then the second episode is an interview with a neuroscientist, sort of talking about imagination itself. And actually that episode I learned I'm not great at interviewing. So that's something I need to work on. There's something I need to learn.
But you were far more technically savvy than I was.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, yeah. Like behind the microphone, I'm infinitely more comfortable. But yeah, so I got to like work my way up to being more comfortable in front of a microphone and sort of telling stories my way, or, you know what I mean? Like coming up with my own content. So I'm so there's that. Yeah. So like one of them is a radio play with music, and then the other one is just a straight ahead interview, talking about imagination. So that was sort of the idea, is have this like storytelling / like, poetry readings and that kind of thing, tempered with, sort of more academic conversation, I guess, about the brain and imagination and what that actually is. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm going back to the drawing board. I'm going to try to figure out how I can tell a story using audio in the most interesting way, in the most rewarding way, and like that'll keep people will say, I've never really heard anything like this before.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of the idea. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that. You can follow me on Facebook, Kevin Olenick. You can add me as a friend. Follow me on Twitter, KVOLE, Instagram, KVOLE, Spreaker.com, KEVOLE, Soundcloud.com, KVOLE. You can subscribe on YouTube, Kevin Olenick. You can also join the Patreon movement, Kevin Olenick, as well, if you are so inclined. No pressure, etc. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, man.
And we keep an eye out. We just reviewed Justice League with Mitch and Hans, so check that out. We are going to be interviewing B. Capitan. She is a award-winning ebook cover artist that needs our vote by the 30th of November. Right.
That's an interesting profession.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I should set you two up in terms of an interview, because she would be a good one for you guys to have.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll check that out. We're just negotiating on the podcast.
That's a little view into the
it's view into the background. Yeah. Then also we're going to do a Grey Cup preview, Grey Cup review, and we've got a couple of other things coming up that I can't say yet. But thanks for joining. We will talk to you all soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.